I had been struggling to find work for a while, and my financial situation was becoming dire. I had applied to countless jobs with no luck, so when I saw the job listing for a customer service representative at the local casino, I jumped at the chance. I knew very little about casinos, but I figured it couldn't be much different from working at any other customer service job. Plus, the listing advertised competitive pay and benefits, which was a huge draw for me. I applied right away and was thrilled when I got a call back for an interview. Despite my lack of experience in the industry, I managed to impress the hiring managers and was offered the job on the spot. I was nervous but excited about the opportunity to work in such a unique environment. Little did I know, the job would turn out to be much scarier than I had ever anticipated. On my first day, I was in awe of the bright lights, the sounds of the machines, and the atmosphere of excitement. My coworker, Tom, was my supervisor at the casino and was there to show me the ropes. At first, he seemed like a friendly guy, always eager to help me out and give me advice. He was older than me, in his mid-40s, with graying hair and a weathered face. He had a deep voice and a commanding presence, which made him seem like a natural fit for his job. I was grateful for his guidance and thought of him as a mentor. However, as time went on, his behavior became increasingly inappropriate, and I realized he had a darker side that I had never seen before. As time went on, Tom started to become more and more intrusive. He would hover over my desk, lean in too close, and make inappropriate comments. I tried to brush it off at first, thinking maybe it was just his way of joking around. But then he started sending me texts, saying things that made me feel uncomfortable. One day, he even followed me to my car after work and asked if I wanted to grab a drink with him. When I politely declined, he became angry and started yelling at me. I was frightened and didn't know what to do. After that, I started to avoid him as much as possible, but it seemed like he was always lurking around the corner, waiting for me to let my guard down. His behavior was becoming increasingly erratic and unpredictable, and I didn't feel safe around him anymore. I knew I had to do something before things got even worse. The breaking point came one night. I had stayed late to finish up some paperwork, and when I got to my car, I noticed something was wrong. Someone had keyed my car, leaving deep scratches all along the side. I felt violated. Not only had Tom harassed me, but now he had damaged my property too. I sat there for a moment, feeling helpless and overwhelmed with emotion. I knew I couldn't take it anymore and had to do something. I went to HR and filed a complaint. They took my allegations seriously and launched an investigation into Tom's behavior. It turned out that I wasn't the only one who had experienced his harassment, and he was ultimately fired from his job. I still remember the day when Tom was escorted out of the casino by security for everyone to see. He looked angry and embarrassed as he was escorted out of the building. I felt a sense of relief knowing that I wouldn't have to deal with his harassment anymore, but I also felt a sense of sadness and anxiety. But even though he was gone, I still couldn't shake the feeling of fear and unease that his behavior had caused. Every time I walked into the casino, I felt like my coworkers were watching me and talking about me, saying that I was the girl that got Tom fired. I found it hard to concentrate on my job and often felt like I was being paranoid and overreacting. Working at the casino was no longer exciting and fun. It was a constant source of stress and anxiety. I felt like I had lost a part of myself and my confidence, and it was difficult to go about my day-to-day life without feeling on edge. I eventually left the job, but the memories of what happened still haunt me to this day. Even though I knew I had done the right thing by reporting Tom's behavior and getting him fired, I couldn't help but feel like it had cost me more than just a job. I'm always on edge, wondering if I'll ever run into Tom again. It's a constant reminder that workplace harassment is a real and terrifying thing, and it can happen to anyone, anywhere. I've been a security guard at this casino for over a decade now. I take pride in my work and always try to be the calming presence in any situation. It was a slow night, and the casino was practically empty. I was sitting in the security office with my colleagues, Sarah and Dave, monitoring the cameras and chatting, when an older man named Richard walked in to play poker. Richard was a regular at the casino, and everyone knew him by name. He was in his late 60s, had gray hair, and was always sharply dressed. He had a friendly smile and a good sense of humor, and he was well liked by the staff and other patrons. I watched Richard on the security cameras as he played, and he seemed to be doing well in the game. Suddenly, he clutched his chest and collapsed onto the table. Sarah and Dave rushed over to him, but it was clear that he was in serious trouble. We called 911 as soon as Richard collapsed, but even though the paramedics arrived quickly, they were unable to revive him. It was clear that he had suffered a massive heart attack, and there was nothing anyone could do. I felt a deep sadness in my heart as I watched the paramedics perform CPR on him, hoping against hope that he would recover. When it became clear that Richard had passed away, we were all in shock. I had seen my share of accidents and medical emergencies in my years as a security guard, but nothing had prepared me for this. Sarah and Dave were both visibly shaken, and we sat in silence for what felt like forever. The paramedics confirmed that there was nothing more they could do, and they left us with Richard's lifeless body lying on the poker floor. We had to keep his body in the security office until the coroner arrived in the morning. I remember feeling a sense of unease and discomfort, knowing that we had a dead body in the office with us. The air felt heavy, and the atmosphere was somber. It was a long, quiet night, and I don't think any of us could focus on our work, knowing that Richard was just a few feet away from us, his cold and lifeless body under the sheet we had draped over him. But even then, I couldn't help but feel like he was watching me. It was like his presence was in the office. Every time I glanced over the sheet-covered shape in the corner, I felt a sense of unease that I couldn't shake off. I tried to busy myself with work, monitoring the security cameras and patrolling the casino, but whenever I had to pass by the office, it felt like the air had gotten thicker, and my skin crawled with goosebumps. I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was not right, and I found myself glancing over my shoulder constantly, as if expecting to see Richard's ghost standing behind me. When the coroner finally arrived to pick up the body in the morning, I breathed a sigh of relief. But even after the body was gone, I couldn't shake off the feeling that something was still there, watching me from the shadows. The experience was unsettling, and it took me days to get over it. The incident had a profound effect on me and my colleagues. We had all seen people get sick or injured before, but this was the first time we had witnessed someone die on the premises. It was a reminder of how fragile life is and how important it is to be prepared for any situation. Looking back, I don't know if it was just my imagination or if there was something more to it, but that night will always stay with me as one of the most chilling experiences of my life. I've been a blackjack dealer at the Lucky Star Casino for 6 months now. It's not the most glamorous job, but you can make a lot just by tips alone. I'm just a regular guy in my mid-20s, trying to make a living. I moved to the city after graduating from college and haven't had much luck finding a job in my field, so I settled for a casino gig. The Lucky Star Casino is a popular spot for locals and tourists alike. It's located on the outskirts of town and has a reputation for being one of the liveliest casinos in the area. The place is always busy, especially on the weekends. The casino is a sprawling complex with several floors filled with slot machines, poker tables, and blackjack tables. The lights are always flashing and the sounds of the machines are almost deafening. On a Saturday night, a man came to my table. He was in his late 30s, with a rough-looking exterior and a scowl on his face. I could tell from the moment he sat down that he was not in a good mood. He started playing aggressively, betting big, and losing hand after hand. Each time he lost, he would curse and shout at me, blaming me for losing. As the night went on, the man's behavior became increasingly erratic. He would pound his fist on the table, toss his chips across the felt, and cussed me out. I tried to keep my cool and remain professional, but it was getting harder by the minute. I could see the anger building up inside him, and I knew that he was getting dangerous. Eventually, the man started making threats against me. He said he would find out where I live and that he would come after me if I didn't give him back his money. I knew I had to do something, so I complained to the pit boss, and he was promptly kicked out of the casino. After my shift ended, I made my way to the employee parking lot to go home. I was exhausted and just wanted to get home and relax. As I made my way through the parking lot, I saw the man standing by himself. My stomach dropped as I realized that he had been waiting for me. I could feel a lump forming in my throat as I tried to think of a way out of the situation. What did he want from me? Was he going to hurt me? All sorts of thoughts were rushing through my mind, and my hands were shaking as I fumbled for my keys. I tried to keep a cool head and walk past him as if he wasn't there, but he stepped in front of me, blocking my path. His eyes were fixed on me, and I could see the anger and frustration in them. It was clear that he was in no mood to talk things out. My heart was pounding in my chest as I backed away, trying to put some distance between us. "Hey, you!" he barked at me. "You stole my money. Give it back now." I tried to reason with him, telling him that I hadn't taken anything from him, but he wouldn't listen. He grabbed me by the collar of my shirt, and I could feel his hot breath on my face. I was terrified, but I refused to give in to his demands. As we stood there, locked in a standoff, I could feel my legs turning to jelly. I knew that I was no match for this guy. He was bigger and stronger than me, and I could see that he was getting more agitated by the second. I knew that I had to get out of there before things got any worse. I tried to reason with him, telling him that I didn't have his money and that he needed to leave me alone, but he wasn't having any of it. He lunged at me, and we got into a physical altercation. I tried to fight him off, but he was too strong. The next thing I knew, I was lying on the ground, my head throbbing in pain. When I came to, I realized that my wallet and money were gone. The thought that he knew my name and address was terrifying, especially after hearing the threats he made earlier. I was on the lookout when I got home, worried that he might come after me again. I reported the incident to the police, but they weren't able to find the man. He disappeared without a trace. I never felt safe at the casino after that night and eventually quit my job. The experience was a harsh reminder of the dangers that come with working at a casino.